All right, everyone, welcome back. Episode 12 here, SportsBook Sports, all things sports betting. I am your host, Connor, with my boy here, GA.
Welcome to episode 12.
Yes, sir. Episode 12. It's an interesting one today. We're going to be throwing our 100kChallenge picks out there. We're obviously on the road to that right now. Hasn't been a great start, but hasn't been a terrible start.
It hasn't been catastrophic, but...
Yeah, things could definitely be better, though.
Yeah.
And then also we're going to be discussing a topic that's, some people I don't think even have the opportunity to really worry about when it comes to the casinos.
Yeah,
but it's taxes.
we're worried about it for sure this year, so...
Yeah, it's something that could kill you because you just don't even think about it when you're in the casinos.
Yeah.
If you hit a nice slot or something, and then all of a sudden people are coming over to you, and they give you like a piece of paper
Filling
that
out
says,
paperwork and stuff.
and they're like, "What's your social security number and what's all this information?" And you're like, "Dude, when I'm losing money, you don't ask for none of that."
Yeah.
But once I win some, you're just like, "I need this info because we're gonna give you a W-2G,
Yep.
and you're gonna have to claim it on
Yep.
your income." And then if you pay the taxes now, you probably won't get them back because you won't know what to do with them
Exactly.
when you're filing
Exactly.
your taxes. So it's just like, I fucking lose money in this place in the long run. And they want me to pay taxes on what I win one day.
Yep.
It's
right, you could lose for a month straight, and then all of a sudden you got to pay taxes.
You're paying taxes on this?
Yep.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, so before we dive into it too much, so SportsBook Sports, Instagram and YouTube, SportsBook Talks on Twitter.
Yes.
Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe.
Yes, all that's free.
Comment, all that stuff's free. It helps us out a ton.
Yeah, and even if you're following the live stream or if you see this YouTube video, throw your picks out in the comments. We love to interact. Haven't been getting a lot of that yet. But down the line, that's hopefully something that we'll be having on the table.
Yeah, and there's just so much going on right now with soccer, baseball, everything. So
Yeah, it's a good time for sports right now.
yeah, golf tournament started up on Thursday. So
Yep.
give us all that stuff. But yeah, today's topic, definitely taxes. And we're gonna try to walk through like the basics of it. And like Connor was saying, it might be something that you don't really even run into depending on what games you're playing. So we'll kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
And then we'll just talk about like kind of like our situations and how it starts coming up for us. Because for us, it really started popping up with the slots.
Yeah, with the slot machines, definitely.
When we go to casinos and stuff. And then also, too, with now all the gambling, whether it's like, we use FanDuel for everything, but all these new sports books that are opening up, you got to create accounts, you got to tie it to your social security number, you have to have an account to bet when you're in person or online, whatever it might be. So a lot of it's becoming more legitimate. A lot of it's going to be taxed and tracked and all that stuff. So it's a good topic. It's a good topic for like the midpoint of the year because you can start planning a little bit. You can start knowing what to do when it comes to gambling losses, harvesting, keeping track of all that stuff, and writing all your losses off against your winnings. This way you can either get a refund or just net it out to zero. So this way you don't actually end up paying taxes on your winnings because depending on how you are as a gambler, I mean, if you're a great gambler and you end up winning a ton, then you're going to pay taxes. It is what it is. But
yeah, I was going to say to that point, I think it's just more or less like making sure that you don't get fucked.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is have a bunch of losses, not track it.
Yeah.
Then have winnings,
and then
track that, and pay taxes on that.
Why would you pay taxes on something that you don't see any profit from? It just doesn't make sense. You're just adding to your losses at the end of the day with that, and not necessarily that's the point. Like if you are making money in this, and you're going to the casinos and you're hitting big on the slots, you're killing it at the sports book. You even go to some table games and you're murdering it. If you win and you're up 100K, I mean, make sure you put that money to the side so then you can pay taxes.
For sure.
But, like, make sure you're also giving yourself a legitimate idea. Like, if you win 50 grand and you've really lost 25, so your profit's only 25, don't pay 50K on taxes.
Yeah, so
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, just so for anyone that's not familiar with it, just a basic formula for it is you have to get to your taxable income at the end of the year. For this, we're breaking it down even smaller, and we're saying your taxable gambling winnings.
Yeah.
So how they calculate it is you take all your gambling winnings throughout the year, you subtract all your gambling losses, and then at the end, that's your taxable gambling, either wins or losses, whatever it might be. To Connor's point, though, for what we're going to be talking about, not everything is tracked the same. So, for example, if I walk into a casino and I lose $1,000 on roulette, then I lose $1,000 on blackjack, and then I hit a slot for $5,000, they might want to tax that $5,000.
Oh, they're gonna. Yeah, they give you the choice,
the option too. But what they're not tracking is the $1,000 I just lost on blackjack and the $1,000 I just lost on roulette.
Unless you give them a player card.
Yes.
If you give them your player card,
that's one of our huge things. Like when you go to a casino, whatever it might be, get a player card, get it set up, and use it every single time. It tracks all your gambling throughout the casino floor.
Especially if you're trying to take it serious.
Yeah.
Like if you see yourself, like I said, if you see yourself winning a lot and you're making money off it and you're going there and being successful, definitely track it, because in the long run it's gonna bind you up. Because as Greg just mentioned, you have a $2,000 loss and a $5,000 win. They're gonna say when you get that W-2G form, do you want to pay taxes on this $5,000 right now? But they don't know the person that's giving you that.
There's an attendant that just walked over because you hit a big slot.
Because you hit a big slot.
Yeah,
they also don't
following
know
you throughout the day.
They also don't know what you spent in that slot.
Right, that's true too. Yeah, you could have put $10,000 in to win $5,000.
Exactly, and really, you just after that specific scenario, you're only up $3,000.
Yeah.
So why would you pay the taxes on $5,000 right then and there? So if you're betting at that level and you're putting that money into it, just take the time to be a little bit more legitimate with it and save yourself in the long run, because it's like any business. You can find ways to put expenses against it that are all legitimate. You know, your travel, the cost of that, anything that you put into it, you can tax against it, but just make sure you're keeping track of it, because at the end of the day, you need the documentation to account for all that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like we've been gambling since we could go to Turning Stone and stuff. So we've been doing it for a while now, and it's just something that really hasn't gotten brought up for us, until the last few years. Because the last few years we're making good money at our W-2s, our normal 9-to-5 jobs. We've been having some success in the casinos. Whether it's for me at least, it's really the slot machine I'm having the most success. But any of this type of stuff, we're having some success there besides the sports book. That's obviously been going well. So, to your point, it's just about tracking everything correctly. It's not about inflating expenses. It's not about underreporting in earnings and gambling winnings. It's just about knowing the rules, knowing what you can and can't do, and then tracking everything. Because I think 9 times out of 10, what most people don't do is track everything properly.
Definitely.
So that's what we're talking about here.
I was going to say that's definitely a problem that I'm running into, because I never, as you mentioned, haven't experienced it unless for the last couple of years where they started giving you W-2Gs, and I'm finding out if you dive deeper into it, and I know we're just trying to give like a basic overview of it, but if you dive into it a little bit deeper, obviously everyone gets like the standard deduction, which is $12,000. And if you don't
12.4,
12.4. If you don't reach that,
if you're an individual,
if you don't reach that from outside of gambling, then you need to make at least $12,000 in gambling to be able to write off the expenses. Because otherwise, there's no way that you can deduct it unless you have enough income from it.
Okay,
that's what I learned from it. Is that like even if you have $6,000 in W-2s, they're going to put that on your taxes and you're going to have to pay it. Whether you lost 10 or not, unless you can provide something to them while you're filing it. But this, like with the standard deduction, you need to at least be at that point from a gambling winning standpoint.
For it to really come into play.
Exactly.
And that's the big thing. So I think our biggest, and maybe we gave it away first, maybe we gave it away too early, but our biggest piece of advice for it is get a player card wherever you are. Track everything with the player card. Make sure you use it, whether you're at the poker table, the blackjack table, whatever it is. And then get your player statements, whether it's at the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year, whatever it is. I mean, some people, if you're making enough money, you're paying, if you own a business or whatever, you might be paying taxes quarterly. So just try to keep track of it and throw it into your, whatever it is, your normal tax returns with your accountant. That's the other thing I would suggest too, is like it's a couple $100 to get a good accountant.
Definitely
just
talk
do
to
it.
one of them,
Yeah, just do it and get one. It's, a lot of people try to save a couple bucks doing the TurboTax stuff. Your accountant, if it's a good one, CPA or not, is just going to know what to do and how to file everything and how to keep track of everything.
Yeah. And TurboTax, I use that right out of college.
Yeah.
Just because my tax returns were just so simple. But as you get more complex and there's a lot of things that pop up, there's no doubt in anyone's mind you should have an accountant. Like you said, the couple $100 you're spending could save you thousands.
Yeah, and
in the right situation.
I don't know if we need to disclaim it, but we're not tax professionals.
Oh,
don't we?
I was gonna say, I think we should.
Yeah, just to be on the up and up with everyone. We're not tax professionals. We're talking about this from us going through it as an experience from our perspective and our understanding. Yeah. So that's actually my number.
That's a disclaimer. Do not take any legal advice, accounting advice from us.
Yeah, follow us for picks, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're trying to put it out there because, as you just mentioned, though, we went through years of just gambling. First off, on like an offshore level where it's like not even, it was just technically
local level.
Just technically not even supposed to be there, but that is what it is. Now it's here, and now people are starting to deal with the implications that come with making it legitimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and now you can even get crazier with it too, because it's like some of your winnings might be in Atlantic City, so some of your winnings might be in New Jersey. Yeah. So you're reporting New Jersey income now. That's like
dealing with that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
I'm dealing with that.
You might go to Massachusetts or Connecticut and hit something out there. Now you have multiple state income to keep track of. Yep. Losses in tax.
Do you know anything about that? Like if it, I talked to someone I know about it. Won't put any names out there, but obviously you just got to claim income in that state.
Yeah, I believe. I believe you just have to file that state's tax return.
Yeah, do you just... Oh, so now you got to file both?
I believe so.
Fuck.
But I believe you do it like all together. Like I know from myself, again, from doing TurboTax right at college for myself, it's like, have you worked in any other states? Is the question that they ask. So for me, that answer is no. I don't know technically, like, do I work in any other states? No. But do I have income from other states? Yeah. Yes. So I don't know. Like I know like they talk about like in school and stuff, if you're like a ball player or a musician or whatever, you go work in another state, you make money, you have to pay taxes in that state.
Yeah, but then do you also pay them in New York?
You're not like double counting. It's like whatever earnings you made in New Jersey are your earnings in New Jersey. Okay. And then whatever you earned in New York is what you earned in New York. Whatever you earned in Connecticut, you earn in Connecticut. Okay. So it's all separate, but they might have different tax rates. They might have different things that you can write off and not write off. They might have their own tax code at a state level. Federal is federal. It's all the same for that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a sketchy situation, especially like I said, when it's something that you don't even think about until the end of the year, and you're like, "Fuck, I got a couple W-2Gs that I need to claim and figure something out with." Yeah. And then you're just like, "Shit." That's why, like you mentioned, planning for it, having an account. Or documentation of what you've been doing, the money you've been spending, because then that's the worst thing you can do is try to backtrack on where you were at, how much.
It just takes too much time, and you're never going to keep track of everything.
Yeah, you'll never remember
everything.
Yeah, no, it's just impossible, and that's why it's a topic that we wanted to discuss because we're obviously starting to go through it. Yeah, and I think a lot more people are going to as the sports betting industry grows into these other states as companies start to move to the mobile platform where everything's just attached to a name and a social security number. Like if you do have a great sports gambling year and you come up 60 grand, if they look at that report at the end of the year, you're probably going to get a W-2G from them. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Yeah. But I would assume so. That you're gonna get for sure. You're gonna get tax information from them, and then you're gonna have to file it as income.
Yeah, and like for what's nice about winning like at a slot machine or something like that day is you can choose to withhold taxes that day. Exactly. So let's kind of talk through the process of like you walk up to a slot machine, you put $1,000 in, and you win $8,000. Yep. What happens next?
literally the
machine goes nuts.
Goes crazy.
Says call in attendance. Everyone's high five.
Everyone's hyped. Depending on how much you win, you might have a couple fucking stragglers come across and be like, "Oh, I was just on that machine. You just took that from me." It's like, "Fuck you, dude. Get out of my face." But then the attendant comes over. They ask for your ID. They'd be like, "Have you won here before?"
Yeah.
In a couple of my situations, I say, "Yes, I have." Luckily. And then they take your ID. They ask for your social. They have you just sign. They have the iPads and shit.
Right,
nowadays.
they have the electronic document.
And it's basically just them filing the W2G.
They fill
form.
the W2G
Exactly.
right out in front of you.
Right out in front of you. They fill it all out. They go get the cash from the cashier. They come back. They
Count
pay the
it
cash out to you, and then they have you sign the paper. They print it out for you and give it to you.
Yep.
So it's a simple process, but
But right then and there, part of their questions too, they ask you, do you want to withhold it?
I was just going to mention that. They also ask, do you want to withhold taxes? And that happens before you sign anything, before they go get the cash, because they'll either you withhold it, obviously, federally, they tax it, and then the state. And then minimal, depending on the casino, they say we're going to hold 25%.
Yep.
Like in Atlantic City, when I won there, the guy said we hold 25%.
Okay.
When I was at resorts, they said we hold 30%.
Yeah.
So it's two different tax percentages there. And then depending on, maybe that's like you said, maybe the gambling tax in New Jersey is only 25%, when in New York it's 30%.
Yeah.
I actually haven't even dived that deep into it to know.
Yeah.
And on a federal level, what is it? From the federal side, do they just tax it at 25% flat? Or is it like a scaling tax,
Right, and I guess that's what it comes down to, is I would assume, again, I haven't dove into it yet too, so I would assume that it's taxable income. So taxable income follows a tax bracket. Mm-hmm. So it will just get added into whatever you make. And whatever your taxable amount is at the end of the year is what your taxable amount is.
Yeah.
And then it falls into whether it's a
isn't
15, 20, 25, 22, 20, there's like different
based on
brackets.
How much, but I think it's different because I think, it adds into your taxable income from a federal level.
Yeah.
And then that obviously is a certain rate. But I'm pretty sure, because say you get a W-2, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the tax implications on that different from like a 1099?
Well, no, W-2 and a 1099, I think, are kind of the one and the two. It's just depending on what you work. Like a 1099 is like contract work, where a W-2 is just like a more like day job type work.
Yeah, but I'm saying like with W-2, you don't have the ability to like write off stuff against it. Besides the thing in the standard deductions, right?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like if you own a home, you can write off like mortgages and stuff like that.
Yeah, but if you're a
1099,
I think you can write off other expenses that come with that
job.
Like
operating a business if you're a 1099 business. That's what I'm saying.
All that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's kind of two different things, because if you're a 1099, you're either like a contract employee, which is kind of like a business in a sense. So it's a little bit different in that sense. With this type stuff, W-2G, it's a W-2. It's just a different type of W-2.
Yeah.
So I think that falls more in line with your normal taxable income.
Gotcha. Okay. Because that's what I was trying to figure out, is I'm not 100% sure, and I've been diving into it a little bit more, and it's complicated to understand. That's why it's like, do you go to an accountant that has a little more background on gambling specifically?
Yeah, and I think that I'm just reading off the IRS's website, so again, no promises that any of this is correct, so hire an accountant, but gambling winnings is just another form of quote unquote other income that flows into your 1040. So your 1040 is your standard paperwork that you do when you file your taxes at the end of the year.
Yep.
So it's just another line item that flows into that. So it depends on, then again, now it depends on your tax bracket, what your tax rate would be. And that happens too. Like when I used to work in sales, like my commissions were always taxed at like 40 to 50% because they just wanted to hold as much as they could. And then when you landed at the end of the year, based on how you did as a salesperson, then we figured out what your actual tax bracket, your tax amount is.
Yep, and then you
get money back. Right.
Yep.
So
if you have a good year, they're gonna tax you at a higher amount.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's progressive. So whatever. So So what's nice about that? So like you're saying, Rivers 30%, Atlantic City was 25%. So chances are they're holding it closer to the high end of what your taxable income is going to be.
Yep.
And then at the end of the year, so what I was going to say before we dove into that is like there's kind of two different types of people in my mind from what I've seen, is the people that say no, don't withhold anything.
Yeah.
If they have the option. Some places don't give you the option, but the option, they say no, don't withhold anything, I want all my money. If you're that type of person, then know at the end of the year you're going to be getting a tax bill, so you're going to end up paying and owing money at the end of the year. The other type of
If
person,
that's all if like you went with $100, won it,
yeah,
and then didn't spend anything else.
of course, yeah, there's like other things that go into it, but more likely than not, that little individual instance is going to generate a tax bill for you.
Yes.
Or the other type of person that I've seen is a person that says like withhold whatever you want, and then at the end of the year, chances are that individual instance is going to regenerate a return to you.
Yep.
And then what both people try to do, rightfully, is write off as much as they can against that individual instance.
Yep.
To either get a bigger return back or to lessen the bill that they owe.
Yep.
And that's the name of the game when it comes to taxes.
Fucking right.
Yeah.
I think it's a sticky scene. As Greg mentioned, I think there's a couple boiling points I think everyone should remember. One is tracking everything.
Yep.
Just make sure you have a fucking good documentation of it, because as I said, you don't want to pay taxes on something that you didn't make any money off of.
Yep.
2, use the player card that is a transfer from the documentation. Like, make sure you keep a good account of it, because again, the casinos, and I don't know if I mentioned this as we talked about it, is they give you a win-loss statement at the end of the year, and that's all based on what you've put on that player's card.
Yeah.
Like when you go to a roulette table and they're like, "Can I see? Do you have a player's card?" You give them that. They track how much you put into the table.
Yep.
And then when you walk away, whether you won 500 or lost the 500 you put in, they're saying lost 500 or won whatever. I honestly don't know how they do that, but they'll say you profited.
Yeah.
And it could be made up, because they don't really know what you won or not.
They're just that good sometimes, I think. Casinos, they got 14 eyes on you at all times.
True.
Someone's watching.
But then also, I would just say to make sure that you also, when you get those W-2Gs, make sure you keep everything in file, document it, keep everything in line, and then just, hopefully you win. That's the positive at the end of the day, and that's all we can take from it. Because if you're paying taxes on it, you made some money, so fuck it.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is like, just from what we've kind of talked about too, it's like the most important thing right now is to be aware of it. If you're having a good year so far, you're at the middle point of the year. So if you haven't been using your player's card, use your player's card. If you haven't been taking money out at the casino ATM, you can start trying to do that. This way it shows up on your bank statement. It gives you more legitimacy. Yeah. When you go to file your taxes, like, hey, I took out $2,000 at the casino and I ended up losing it, or I lost $1,800 of it, whatever it is. It just gives you more of a paper trail for everything. And then also, too, it just gets you in the idea of just forming good habits.
Exactly.
So that's really what it all comes down to with all this stuff, whether it's betting properly, picking a unit, sticking to it, all that good stuff. It's just a matter of getting in good habits. So that's what we really wanted to kind of drive home with this. Yeah. Is that if it's not something that you're worried about right now, it will be in the future if you stick with it, because you'll becoming a better gambler, you'll get smarter, you'll end up winning some money. So
start getting some comps at the casinos, free rooms.
Yep, all that good stuff.
Free dinners, free flights, all that good shit.
Yep.
So
I mean, I think that was a good topic for us to kind of just start off.
Yeah, I think we'll dive into that deeper, especially as our experiences start to spiral in and the tax season comes around.
I was going to say, towards the end of the year, we'll talk about it again, and then when tax season pops up, we'll definitely do more of a deeper dive into it.
See if any of us got audited, whatever.
Yeah, we'll keep you up to date with all the IRS interactions. So, all right, so let's get into the 100K challenge. So again, it started out $10,000 each. Trying to bet every single day and try to keep you guys all updated on everything. And to your point, it hasn't been too hot for us so far. We both had a good June, but July hasn't been that good, switching from basketball for baseball to me. Baseball's been a little tough. So I'm 4-7 on the year right now, about down $1,000. I'm down $927.51. So it's just been a little back and forth, a couple close games, a couple absolute blowouts. I mean, Tampa Bay last night was just atrocious.
I mean, those Blue Jays bats are crazy. It's hard to bet against them, but we'll talk about that when it comes to the picks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm 4-5-1 overall, down about $700. Not a great start, but as Greg mentioned, not a terrible start. I mean, the transitioning into baseball is always, I think, can be tough. Sometimes I feel like the beginning of the season's easier because it's easier to just gauge. Like, I feel like who's the better team and the public betting and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I know. Like of the 3 major sports that I bet, or I guess maybe if you count college basketball and college football as major sports, then 2 of the 5 major sports that I bet, like college basketball and baseball are my worst 2.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about just trying to just find some good trends, try to stick to them, and football season's 2 months away, so
yeah,
month away. So
looking forward to that, especially college football because that's my number 1.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think baseball can be tough at times because there's so much variables to it. There's so much variance when it comes to like the analytics of it. And also, I'm a big believer in like fading the public in baseball. A lot of nights, like the public's right, especially with these heavy favorites. But that's why the money lines are what they are.
Exactly.
Things like that, and they make their money in so many different ways. Like people think, the run line's the wave, the money line's the wave, and then randomly the Pirates beat the Dodgers at plus 300.
Yeah.
And there's a huge swing of the handle there for the sports books, and it's a tough sport to get a good grasp of because I'm also personally I'm not a person that likes betting more than like a minus 150 favorite.
Yeah,
Like I took the Dodgers the other night at minus 140, and that was because, like, damn, like I'd never see them
that low.
Yeah. And they were up 6-2 after the 5th inning. And luckily they voided it after the 5th.
Yeah.
Because the money line bet wouldn't have counted then.
Okay.
That's another thing. It's like 4.5
because they ended up calling the game, right?
5 innings complete.
Yup.
Money line counts.
Yup.
Everything else doesn't, though. Run line, over-unders, none of that count. Unless you get to 7 innings.
Yeah, complete 7, right?
Complete 7. But I think that also depends on the book, too, because some of them I've seen are 8.5 innings.
Okay.
If the home team's winning.
Yeah.
And if not, it's 9 for, like, the total to count, the run line to count, all that stuff. So that also depends on the book. So that's another thing I think we should talk about is, like, when you get into a sports book, just, like, doing your research on how they account for bets. And so a lot of this shit happens in baseball where there's rain delays, there's postponements, all that good stuff. So
yeah, and then as far as basketball goes, we have the Hawks are playing tonight. Mm-hmm. So they're down 3-2 right now against the Bucks.
Yep.
They're in Atlanta tonight, though, right?
In Atlanta. Down 3-2. I think Trae Young and Giannis are out again.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's like gonna be the Sun. If either one of these teams win, and then come to find out like Giannis is out for the finals and Trae Young's out for the finals, like there should be an asterisk next to Chris Paul's championship.
What?
There should be.
Why?
He had an injury every single round.
Yeah.
That he played against.
I mean, he was injured at one point. He had COVID protocols at one point. He made it through it all.
Yeah, he made it through it all. But
Devin Booker got a broken nose.
That's playable, though.
Yeah, I mean, it might throw your game off a little bit if you're a lesser
playable.
man.
Who did they have in the first round?
The Lakers.
The Lakers. AD. They shouldn't have made it out of that.
Yeah.
Then they play the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray's out.
Yeah.
Best player on their team.
Yeah.
Then they play
Clippers.
Kawhi Leonard's out.
Yeah.
Then if they play the Bucks and Giannis is out, not saying he doesn't deserve it, but it's just like if y'all, I'm a LeBron. I'm starting not to like LeBron as much as I used to, but the way you critique LeBron, and the bubble shouldn't have counted, this, that, and the third shouldn't have counted.
Just haters.
Just haters. Then I'm hating on Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hate on Chris Paul. I'm gonna be devil's advocate in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for him to win one, and I'm more hyped for Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton because I think they're gonna be staples in the league for years to come.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you're going to shit on LeBron James for his rings because he had fucking Ray Allen and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, like you gotta shit on Chris Paul a little bit. There's gotta be a little bit of hate to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hating on either of them, so I'm gonna stay out of it because I fuck with Chris Paul at this point. I mean, I didn't like him for a little while, but to see him go, Monty Williams. I
like the coach.
A tweet last night about James Jones about how he.
He got executive of the year or something.
Yeah, he won. He's been stringing it together as an executive. So I feel like they all just saw the potential in the Suns team because I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, Chris Paul went down to Phoenix and brought this team up, blah blah blah. I think Phoenix has just been on the rise. I think Booker's just been coming up every single year. Booker's been coming up. I think Ayton's been panning out and he's been playing better and better.
Yep.
And then this past year they just went out, got a couple good pieces. And I don't know how long Bridges has been there, but I know Crowder, this is his first year.
Bridges has been there for a little bit.
Yeah, I think Chris Paul, this is his first year.
Yep.
So
then they had Cameron Payne, who sort of just came out of nowhere.
Yep.
I mean,
is it Payne's first year too, or is it Payne's
No, he's been in the league for a minute. There is
on the Suns though. Is it his first year on the Suns?
Nah, second year.
Yeah,
he played in the bubble last year for them. But yeah, they're definitely like a fairy tale story. Like,
yes and no. See, this is what drives me nuts about not betting them, and what I hate myself for not betting them is that they just went 8-0 in the bubble. They were the hottest team in the bubble last year.
Chris Paul, yeah,
and then they added Chris Paul, and
they
were just good all year long.
Yeah.
They were a great team in the West. They were a great team in the playoffs.
They were also an underdog in the first round for a reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Not. Like I said, I'm gonna move away from the hate because I like to be a positive person.
But I think they were just an underdog in the first round because people put too much, and maybe not too much, but just too much respect on like LeBron and AD's name. Like it's just like,
well, they were gonna win that series until AD got hurt.
I don't know.
They were up 2-1 and then AD goes down.
Yeah, I guess.
Not necessarily. Like you're 100% right.
It would have been close.
It wouldn't have been a guarantee.
Yeah,
but that's why I said Vegas had them as an underdog for a reason.
Yeah,
and I think if AD was completely healthy, and could have played that whole series, me personally, I don't think the Suns get out of that round.
Yeah, and the Lakers win the whole thing again.
I don't know if they win the whole thing.
Well, they would have had the same path. They would have had.
They would have had the same
Kawhi
road.
Leonard gets hurt.
Exactly. All that stuff, and then that would have been even worse for LeBron. Jesus Christ! Like the guy can't win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think James Jones put the pieces together. It's just one of those, like I said, fairy tale Cinderella type stories where everything came together at the right time.
Suns and 4 guy popped up at the right time.
Yeah, you said that the one episode, or maybe we were talking about it off the record, but like they just had a lot of things.
That's the type of stuff that can win you a championship, is when shit like that pops off.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like when
it's weird, but
it's like when the Mavs won their title.
Yeah.
Like they just had shit just coming together.
Yeah.
And then Dirk was playing just ridiculous basketball.
Some of the best basketball you ever see.
Yeah. He played at the highest level. He was hands down was an argument for that year, was one of the better players in like top 2 in the league, top 3 in the league.
And just that playoff run, not even the whole season, but that playoff run was unreal, just unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, what are your predictions on this? You think the Bucks just close it out tonight? I mean, Brook Lopez looks unreal.
Yeah, I mean,
he played out of his mind.
Well, I know what's crazy is, I think they are going to close it out tonight. The public's on them.
Yeah,
but I'm sticking with that because I think when Giannis isn't on the floor, it's like what I was saying about the Nets at one time.
Yeah,
not that they're better without him.
Yeah,
it's just everyone steps
knows their
up.
role.
Yeah, and they play a better team game. Like when Giannis is on the floor and he's there like isoing and just dribbling and going to the rim, everyone else is just standing around.
Yeah.
When he's not there, they were running their offense. They were running sets every time.
Yeah.
Like they were playing good basketball. Hawks couldn't do shit.
Yeah, it's like when you need a bucket and Giannis is on the court, it's like, okay, well, Giannis is here. He'll get us a bucket.
Give it to him.
Get out of the way.
Not, he's just our option.
But if like he's not on the court, it's like everyone's like, oh fuck, I gotta step up because we need a bucket, and I might be the guy. Yeah,
because they're gonna run a good set.
Yeah.
Middleton,
Holiday,
are going to make the right play.
Yep.
And it could be fucking Pat Connaughton shooting a 3 because he's wide open.
Yeah.
Not just Giannis just going to the rim and throwing some shit up. So that's what I'm saying is like they're obviously not more talented, but I think they play better basketball. when he's not on the floor.
And also too, do you think that Lopez is a better matchup for the Bucks against Capella and John Collins than Giannis is, because he's just a little bit bigger, a little bit lankier? I feel like Capella was just having a tough time with him, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, you were doing, I guess not good against Giannis, but you were doing okay against Giannis.
Yeah, I think he can be tougher. I think this is a very bold statement, but he's like a little bit, he's not more versatile, but he's got like, he's decent at
shoot
everything.
Better, yeah.
Like, he's not going to break you down like Giannis can.
No, he's not going to.
Giannis doesn't even do that.
And he's not going to blow past you like Giannis' first step or two.
Giannis is just, his weak point is just like, all right, let him shoot.
Yeah.
Let him shoot a 3.
Yeah.
Because he ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
He shoots that 25%. So it's like, all right, let him shoot a 3. You at least know what his weakness is.
Yeah.
And then I was watching something, too, when he shoots, like, over his right shoulder.
Yeah.
And he does those fadeaways. He shoots it at, like, 17%.
Okay.
So, like, when, who did the Bucks play the second round? The Nets.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin, when they would get him in the post, they would literally force him to shoot over his right shoulder.
Okay.
Because they knew he just shot such a low percentage from them. But that's why he would always try to catch the ball in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
And then just go straight at Blake Griffin and those guys and go right to the rim.
Right, and try to finish around the rim.
Instead of posting up. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole different strategy when it comes to guarding him.
Okay.
But back to the original point is I think the Bucks do close it out tonight. I think they're just playing better basketball than the Hawks. And with the Hawks, they're just not as good without Trae Young.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I think last episode that we were on, I feel like the Atlanta Hawks have like a little bit of a deeper team. Like they have a better 4, 5, and 6 guy.
Yep.
But I forgot to factor in with that pick is that the Bucks have a better 1, 2, and 3 guy.
Definitely.
Like they're
especially without Trae Young.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Without Trae Young, that's what I mean.
Yeah, they're big.
That
three.
Holiday, Middleton,
Lopez
is just better than Capella, Bogdanovich, and Herder, Collins. I don't know. Yeah, whoever your third guy is.
No one on the best playmaker.
Yeah.
On the Hawks right now, there's 2. Is like I would say Lou Williams and Herder.
Yeah.
Like Bogdanovich isn't even a guy that's gonna like get the ball. Run
he's not gonna make a play. No.
Yeah, he just shoots open threes and
Yeah.
plays good defense. So it's like they don't have a consistent guy to just give the ball to and go make a play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's what it comes down to for that. And who knows? I mean, Atlanta's a tough place to play. They've created
the stars come out. I always get blown away by how many people are out in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like there's
Dwight Howard was at the game last.
Yeah, just celebrities, like
Quavo.
music artists, sports athletes. Like it's just crazy. Like that. Like Atlanta to me is getting up there with like New York and LA for like the stars that come out to a game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like it's always sort of been like that. It's just not as It's definitely not a LA or New York, you know what I mean? It's just getting there though.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into our picks for tonight. So we kind of recapped what's going on in the sports world. We recapped how we're doing so far. We're kind of treading water a little bit, nothing too crazy.
Nope.
And then for tonight, it looks like we both have 4 picks tonight.
4 picks overall. Yeah, I got 3 total.
Okay, 3 picks, and then, you got a parlay there. So for me, I'm sticking with what I had yesterday. Mm-hmm. I believe in the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, even though they got absolutely smacked by Toronto last night. Mm-hmm. So the Mets, I just think Walker again. Walker, I think, is like top 5 in ROI for pitchers in all of baseball. Yep. He should be getting the start tonight. They were supposed to play yesterday, but they got rained out. Mm-hmm. I'm going Rockies again tonight. They lost like pretty bad, but they lost in extra innings. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of close all game. I think it was like 2-2, 2-3 most of the game. I think it was 3-3 going into extras, and they ended up losing by a couple runs in extra innings. Taking the Giants -1.5. They were pretty good last night. They were hitting the ball good, kind of right out the gate. I watched the first couple innings of that game. And then Tampa Bay, I think they just got beat so bad that they're going to come back and play good tonight. Yep. So that's 250 to win 395, which I'm happy about those odds. So I got 2 money lines. The Mets and the Rockies are money lines. Giants and Rays are -1.5 runs on the run line. And We're trying to get a good bounce back night tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 4-7 on the year. If I can get 3 winners tonight and get up to 7-8, especially with some of these being plus money with the Mets and the Rays,
Yep.
I could be in a spot where I'm getting pretty close back to even. So that's the beautiful thing about just sticking to your picks, sticking to your units. And just being consistent with it every day and every night is that you can have a bad night, you can have a couple bad nights, but then you can also have a couple good days and you get right back to it. So
Exactly. For my picks, I'm going to start from the bottom here
Yep.
and move up. I'm taking over 12.5 in the Rockies game versus the Cardinals.
Yep.
Same sort of perspective I had on it, and it's even money, which I like.
Yeah.
It was just plus 100.
Yeah.
I think tonight, it was, as I said, it was the same perspective I had on it the other night, even though it went under.
Did you have it last night or no?
Nah, 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
I had the over in the Dodgers game last night,
Yeah.
which the Dodgers hit in 1 inning at one point.
Yeah.
They had 9 runs in an inning.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But over 12.5, I think 12.5 is a number that scares people.
Yeah, we talked about it on Thursday. You're like, the Rockies usually go, the ball travels in Colorado, and then I was saying it's usually one of the higher run totals too because of that.
Yeah, it
12.5 is
consistently.
Up there. Yeah.
And 12.5 is definitely high, but I think the matchups tonight are what's going to create that. They got Freeland on the mound for the Rockies, and then LeBlanc on the mound for the Cardinals. Both have like 5+ ERAs.
Yep.
So I just see it being a little bit more high scoring of what it was 2 days ago, and then just potentially, I think it could be a very high scoring game today.
Yeah.
Second pick, I got the Pirates money line. I went with them yesterday at even money.
Yeah, I wasn't here yesterday. So what are you thinking about for the Pirates? You just liking the matchup against the Brewers?
Yeah, I like the matchup against the Brewers, and I just think where the money line is. Yesterday it was even money. So it just was like, what the fuck's going on here? And, Pirates are so bad that who knows? I just think that today, same mindset I had yesterday. I think they're going to put something together at bat and put some runs in. And then hopefully the pitchers can put together a good performance just to support the runs that they put in. I mean, the guy they got on the mound is Cody Ponce, who hasn't pitched many games this year.
Yeah.
High ERA as well in like the 2 games that he has pitched. I just think he's going to come out and put something together. So that's 250 to win 375. And then I'm doing the first parlay of the year.
Okay.
The reason I'm doing this one is I just see some value in it. 250 to win 1890 is Pirates plus 1.5.
Yep.
Nationals plus 1.5.
Yep.
And then Tampa Bay money line versus the Blue Jays. Usually you get parlays 6-1.
Yep.
And with this one, I got it at like close to 8-1.
Yep.
So it's like pretty much 7.5 to 1. But I just see it being. I just saw it as good value. And I put 250 on it because I think if those don't win and I can win the other 2, if I go 2-0 on my single bets and then win that and lose that, it's still a good day.
Still a good day.
But if I can somehow sweep and go 4-0,
yeah.
And then also I think it gives me some cushion because I took the Pirates plus 1.5 instead of the money line, which I think was like even money. And then the Nationals were plus like 130 plus 1.5.
Yeah.
And I also like them to win outright today.
Yeah.
Kershaw's on the mound. They're a high underdog.
Yeah.
But I think they can put something together with the bats that they haven't shown in the last 2 games.
Yeah, I know the Dodgers are kind of tough to go against, but with it being minus 245, they're the biggest favorite of the day. I always love taking the underdogs in that. And like you're saying, you can get a 1.5 and still be an underdog.
It's just
when you have a good hitting team. With hitting, it's just when you have a team that can hit the ball.
Yeah, you're
always it's like kind of like the Hawks for me. It's like you always have a chance. You can always put a run together. You were saying with the Dodgers last night, you can always put an inning together where you score 6, 7, 8 run, 9 runs.
9 runs, yeah.
So you can batter around. The Nationals, they've been hit or miss, but when they hit. Fuck, I mean...
Yeah, I'm hoping Kyle Schwarber has a fucking day.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the value is just there for it. And the Dodgers, They're a tough team to bet against.
Yeah.
I just think the value's there. They won the first 2 games of the series. I think the Nationals come out to play a little bit harder to avoid the sweep.
It's tough to sweep a team.
Yeah, and again, the value I just think is there for that bet, so that's why I put it out.
Cool. All right, so yeah, just to recap our picks, Connor's got the Pirates plus 1.5, Tampa Bay money line, Nationals 1.5, 250 to win 1890 in a parlay. Then separately, he has 250 to win 375 on the Pirates money line, and then 500 to win 500 on the over in the Rockies game, over 12.5 runs. For me, I got 4 $250 bets. I got 250 to win 320 with the Mets money line, 250 to win 235.85 with the Rockies money line.
Yep.
250 to win 231.48 with the Giants minus 1.5 runs, and then 250 to win 395 with the Rays minus 1.5 runs. And that's our picks for today. I mean, July 3rd, another episode in the books. We kind of talked taxes.
Yes, sir.
Talked basketball. We talked about some of the matchups tonight. Then we got our 100K challenge again. 100K challenge. We started with $10,000. We're trying to string these episodes and these bets together to get up to $100,000 at some point. We have no expectation of when that might be, so we're not in a rush for it. So we're giving you our picks that we're putting in every day. Again, SportsBook Talks on Twitter, SportsBook Sports on Instagram and YouTube. Give us a like, give us a follow, interact with us. Let us know what you guys think about our picks. I mean, I know I'm posting our picks every day on Twitter.
Yep.
Trying to get some, feedback, what you guys think, what you like. Are you fading us? Are you tailing us? What are you guys thinking? So let us know.
Let us know. As Greg mentioned earlier, subscribe to the YouTube, follow the social medias, interact with us. Ride the picks, fade the picks, do whatever you want to do. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next episode.
Sounds good.